from the 20. Candler, play action, first
Wide
down, deep
open.
ball down the middle. Got a man.
Got him.
Open, Hurst. John to the 30, the 20, the 15. Take it to the house, young man. John Hurst.
And hello again, everybody. The David Dean post-game report following the West Georgia Wolves' victory over the Shorter Hawks. We're brought to you by SMI, Systems and Methods Incorporated. Coach Dean, following a 42-6 victory tonight, off to a fast start, and it wouldn't be right to say coasted, but as far as the numbers go, they kind of sat there for a while, and you got you still had the victory, and never were not in control of this ball game.
Well, we weren't. We got a great turnover. Corey made a great interception to start the first drive of the game, and offensively, we quickly turned that into points. I think I looked up there and 11 seconds had gone off the clock, and we were up 7-0, which is a great start for us, both offensively and defensively. But we played an outstanding first quarter. Second quarter, I think we were playing well, and then got kind of lethargic there a little bit. Did not think that we finished the game like we should have. Played a lot of young guys, still got a lot of young guys making mistakes that we've got to get corrected. But overall, a great win for our program to take us to 7-2 and keep us in line of where we want to be at the end of the year.
It was a night of big plays offensively. Willie Candler throws for 4 touchdowns. On 12 completions, 246 yards. That's over 20 yards per completion. That's an obscene number. Right?
Well, it is, and a credit to our offensive line for giving him an opportunity to stand back there and throw those deep balls. But we had some receivers that were making some great routes and great adjustments in the middle of their routes, and Willie was putting it right where we needed to be. I was, again, our offense came out clicking on all cylinders right off the bat, and we lost Devontae early in the game, and we had some running backs that stepped up and played very well. But with Devontae going out, we had to rely on that pass game, and it produced very well.
Turning to the other side, you mentioned receivers. We share the wealth. We talked about that during the week, but you had big plays out of JJ. You had a big play out of John Hurst. We hung some big numbers. We took it. When we got the protection, it was there going over the top.
We did. Everybody will remember JJ's post route for a touchdown, and, of course, John's 80-yard touchdown and the first one to Amani. But I tell you, 2 of the biggest catches of the night were Danico Carter catching third down and breaking tackles to get first downs, and he did that twice, and that's huge. That was big for us. We got to continue to do that. We got to break tackles when we get the ball in our hands. Overall, again, I thought it was a great job by our offense, and a lot of that had to do with the way that our wide receivers were playing and getting open.
Let's turn to the other side, Coach. Defensively, we had the muff. They got the ball down low. Otherwise, they didn't do a lot. I got the feeling if we'd have made them drive 50 yards or more, we could have played 12 quarters and they weren't going to score on you.
Well, I tell you, our defense was playing outstanding football, and it was really proud to see them play that way. I think for the first time we really played a physical football game. We were laying some licks on Shorter a good bit in the game. We were knocking them backwards. They weren't really getting yards after contact. We were putting pressure on the quarterback a good bit, and we were breaking on balls. And for the first time, we got 3 turnovers in the game, which is good to see. I was glad to see our defense finally get those turnovers. We should have had a 4th. We can't pick up a fumble for some reason. It's like a greased pig there. We just can't get a hold of it. So we're going to go back and start doing some more fumble recovery work. But again, 3 turnovers in that ball game, all interceptions. Outstanding job.
And we tackled well up front. Heard you on the post-game radio show talking with Casey about that. The up front guys could do that. Secondary had big moments. Our linebackers are playing. Looks like they've played well all year, but they're turning it up a notch.
Well, they are. They're starting to play their best football, and that's what we got to do. When you want to make a championship run, you have to play your best football in late October, early November, and push it all the way through. And I would hate to face our linebacker core. They do an outstanding job. They play very hard. They're very smart, and they're very physical. And, again, I can't say enough about how well they're playing. They almost went 7 straight quarters without giving up a touchdown, and that says a lot. And you're not playing bad offenses every week. You're playing very good offenses.
Well, let's open it up and get questions from our media folks who are here right now for head coach David Dean following the victory over the Shorter Hawks 42-6. And we'll start that right now. Who wants to jump out first?
Coach, so I know part of this is because Devontae got a little dinged up and it was for safety reasons he took him out, but you guys had 5 rushers and those 5 rushers had, they're over 20 yards. But after that, it was pretty much Willie carrying the team with his passing yards. Is that mainly because you just wanted to keep everybody, it was more cautionary, or is it just because Willie had the hot hand?
Well, Willie had a hot hand, obviously, and we were hitting some big balls. But if you notice what they were doing, they were bringing everybody up on the line. And, if you're going to do that against our wide receiver core, you better be ready to cover man-to-man. And you better be able to run, because we've got some speed out there, and that's exactly what they did. They ran by those guys. They made great moves. Willie saw those guys and was able to throw the ball down the field. But when we did lose Vaughn, we were able to continue to throw the ball well because Willie was carrying that hot hand.
Coach, you guys, in that first half, you scored touchdowns on 4 of your first 6 drives. It's pretty much how you want to start off a game, correct?
Well, it is, and it's still the thing that is hurting us is penalties. If we don't have penalties, we probably are scoring on every single drive, and we just cannot help but shoot ourselves in the foot, and we've got to correct that. And it's something that we address all the time, and we just got to get by that. But we're stopping ourselves, and we're starting to play good football. We've got to play. We got 2 more games that we've got to continue to play well. But again, really proud of the way that our guys are taking our game planning and putting it into play on what is a Thursday night now, but on Saturdays. I think they're doing a great job of learning and knowing what we need to do to win football games each and every week.
What else do we have for Coach Dean?
Coach, we only in the red zone twice, but we still looked pretty good in the red zone tonight for the 2 times we were in there, especially on that read option play that Willie had. He faked out the entire defense. I was trying to take the video too. He faked me out. Just talk about how you guys, did you change anything what you did in the red zone, or was it just better execution?
No, it was better execution. That play, we ran the same play the play before, and he made the right read. He handed the ball off, and then the second time they really pursued that handoff, and he pulled it and made a great read. And of course, we had great blocking by our wideouts on the outside out there. But we did do a good job of executing in the red zone. That's something that we've done pretty well all year long. But for us in that game, it was all long passes and long big run or big scores, long distance scores. So that's good to see. What we were able to do is hold back some of our red zone stuff for later in the year.
Okay.
Coach, during the game, a lot of the receivers, especially after catching the ball, made a lot of good moves, bouncing off of tackles to get and fight for extra yardage. Is that something that y'all really focus on in practice, that they're able to be able to do it so well during a game?
Well, if you sit in our wide receiver room, that's what we talk about a lot, is being athletic and getting in space and getting the ball in our hands in space and making people miss. And we felt like they were going to bring a lot of pressure. We had talked about that all week, and we were going to get some one-on-one matchups out wide. And to our credit, to the wide receivers' credit, they did that. They made some guys miss. They made big plays. So, yes, that is something that we talk about all the time. And our offense is going to go, if we can get those guys in space, they're going to be hard to tackle. And we're starting to get better and better and better at that.
Coach, Willie has done this. He's done a great job of this throughout the year. That's finding, all of his receivers, not just targeting one of his favorite receivers, but finding, the open receiver. Just talk a little about how, that's helped the offense a lot this year.
Well, that's one thing that we always stress is we don't throw to one guy. We don't specifically design plays to go to one guy unless we're throwing a screen. And Willie's doing a great job of making all of his reads. And I will say this about, again, bragging on our wide receiver core again, they're all guys that understand their role in the game. And there may be a game where a guy catches 8 or 9 balls in a game and then turns around the next week and he only has 1. I don't hear those guys complain about that. They keep going to work. They understand what their role is. And when their opportunity comes, they step up and they make those plays. And I'm proud of those guys for being able to do that.
Anything more for Coach Dean right now? Okay. Thank you, Coach. We'll let the coach step back for a moment, and we'll get our student athletes in here to talk to us, and we get started with a linebacker. Mr. Hands, by the way, is actually what we're calling him tonight after a great pick, and that's Corey Rogers in here with us, the linebacker out of Buford. And, well, I'll ask you before we opened it up right there. Tell us about the pick. That was a fun play tonight.
Yeah, of course, the first play of the game, but it was just great play calling by the coach. They motioned out the 3-by-1, and I just knew exactly what to do.
You read the mail, so to speak. Well, as we were saying on the air, these guys watch film. They knew where certain things, you know what's going to happen.
Yes, sir. Our coaches definitely make that a point of emphasis, getting in and watching film and just making sure we know exactly what to do on each and every play.
Watching you and also watching Cameron, two, I don't think a better pair of linebackers anywhere. You guys run and hit and hit and run and hit. It seems like you're getting better every week.
Yeah, I think that's something that we definitely try to engage in, is just being fast side to sideline linebackers, and just pushing people backwards when we make tackles.
Well, Corey, to the rest of the ball game tonight, 6 tackles. Do we have questions for Corey Rogers here?
Corey, how much confidence does that give you, knowing that you made an immediate impact, like literally the first play of the game?
It was good, but not necessarily my confidence. Just hopefully boosting the team's confidence and just get us going quickly. And it's obviously a good way to jumpstart the game. First play, pick, and then our offense did a great job. First play, touchdown. So it was good to see.
Corey, real quick, talk about just how a game like this, where it's in hand most of the time and you guys, just play really an overall good game. Talk about how much momentum and how that momentum can carry you into the next game and the game after that.
Definitely. It definitely builds up. And week by week, I feel like our team, from a defensive standpoint, we've become closer and we gel together each and every week. And I think you see that on the field with the way we run around and the way we execute our assignments.
Okay. Where else would like to go with Corey, if anyone else has? I don't think we have anything. Corey, thanks for being with us. Congratulations on a great game tonight. Corey Rogers out of Buford High School with the West Georgia Wolves this evening at linebacker. We're about to move in, check on the offensive side, the special team side. Probably one of the most exciting punt returners in the world. And also at wide receiver tonight as well. A huge play for a touchdown middle of the first quarter. J.J. Jones with us this evening. And tell us about, first of all, the long touchdown. Tell us about that.
Well, just great play calling from the coaches. I just want to thank all the O-linemen for blocking, giving Willie the protection to give me a chance to make that play. I should have made the first one, but Coach came back and gave me another opportunity, so I had to make that play.
If you play on our offense, wide receiver, of course, you have outstanding speed. You have great hands. If you don't block, you don't play, do you?
You don't block, you don't get the rock.
There's no doubt about that. And, of course, got any questions for JJ here with us this evening from anybody? Let's open it up.
JJ, talk about how, Coach Dean was talking about earlier, Willie doing a great job of going through his progressions. Does that make you, maybe run just a little extra hard every play and run your route a little more crisper just to know you could get the ball on every play?
Because with Willie, he's a dual threat quarterback. So when the play break down, if you're not getting the ball, it's a chance, 90% chance that when he break down, the protection break down, he run out, you can get that ball and make a play with it. So I just run my route 100%, and I know for a fact that, okay, just because I'm running this particular route, that don't mean I'm not getting the ball. I run every route the same because I know when Willie break out, he got a chance. He's looking down the field. He's just not looking for the run. He's looking for the good, us receivers the opportunity to make big plays.
Okay, who else? What else we have for?
Willie, talk a little bit about, JJ, talk a little bit about, there was a play, it was right after your catch on the sideline, the long catch on the sideline, where Willie was about to get tackled, and you came through on a fake jet sweep, and then he hit you on the other side. Was that designed to come to you, or?
No, it wasn't. But at the same time, like I said, the kind of the way that it was operated, it was kind of like the snap was kind of late, and the play kind of broke down and was messed up from the start. So with me being me, I see the play being messed up. I just want the ball in my hand to make a play to help my quarterback out, because I'd rather for me to get hit than him, because we need him. And I know I need him to get the ball. So I just like playing with Willie, because he not only looking for one receiver, he's looking for to get all those receivers in there to make big plays.
How close did you come to catching that snap? I thought it went between your legs.
It was kind of close, but I kind of jumped out the way at the same time.
Okay. That was an outstanding play right there. And, of course, you had 4 catches in all tonight, so it wasn't just the big play. You were the guy we looked for tonight. And outstanding job there. 4 catches for J.J., 92 yards tonight, a 45-yard touchdown. Anything else for Mr. Jones before we let him move on and we get Coach Dean back? I think that will do it for J.J., making Mississippi senior. Fun guy to watch play football, too, and he's Irish. That's a good part right there. As we continue here on the post-game report with Coach Dean, a couple of things that they talked about right there. You mentioned one. It was a fun play. Danico, early, the one you referred to. Later on, he breaks a tackle, gets us a first down. He's about to stiff arm a guy, and the guy stopped. He didn't want any part of Danico stiff arming him there on the sideline. I don't know if I've ever seen one quite like that.
Well, Danico's is a physical presence. You know, when you get up next to him, you don't realize, or when you're far away from him, you don't realize how big he is, and you get up next to him, it's like, wow, he really catches your attention. But he's strong on top of that. And, again, just an outstanding job. A lot of times you take for granted those third down catches underneath the sticks and breaking tackles to make first downs. And he did that. And again, that was part of our game plan. We were throwing the ball underneath the sticks sometimes, trying to get broken tackles to get first downs, and he was able to do that for us.
A couple of times tonight, I don't know if fans were watching, it looks like we'd run a play or whatever. They'd have more guys in that hole at that time than we could block. But it's a trade-out. They've given up something, and we burned them on that a couple of times.
Well, we did. And, when like I said, when you're going to bring 7 or 8 people up into that box and try and stop the run and try to put pressure in blitzes, you're putting your secondary in one-on-one situations against a very good wide receiver core. And tonight, our receiver core was up for the challenge, and that's one of the reasons that we were so effective offensively. We were able to get by them. We were able to make great moves like I talked about, and hopefully it's going to put, when people watch that on film, they're going to look at that and say, I'm not real sure we can line up and play man-to-man coverage. Hopefully they will, because we're pretty good against man coverage teams right now.
A couple of things on the defense before we turn our attention toward Florida Tech. Zed Brown, pick 6. He's been Mr. Pick 6 throughout his career, and I know it's frustrating because the ankle wouldn't let him make a big play that we could have really used a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I love any of our guys, but seeing number 3 make that pick 6 tonight was great.
Well, and he was back on the bench, and I walked back and I said, man, I can't tell you how proud I am that you made that interception and scored that touchdown. He's been a 4-year starter here, and I remember coaching against him and what a good player he was. He's been a great leader for us, and for him to step up and make that play at that time was great. And I can't say enough about how proud I was of him, because I know he was frustrated after that West Alabama game going out in the second quarter. And, he feels a little bit he feels bad because he feels like he could make a difference in that game if he's playing. And I'm just glad it wasn't a very serious injury and he was able to come back and play last week and then this week.
And again, you got good pressure tonight. You didn't have a ton of sacks, but you got pressure and made them uncomfortable without having to sell out. Our front 4 was a factor, and of course, Chad had a couple of sacks in the ball.
Yeah, Chad did a great job of putting pressure. DeAndre Gardenhire, boy, he's so fast coming off that edge, and it's so hard on tackles because he is so quick, and it forces that quarterback to come step up in the pocket. And when you do that, you're running into Devlin Cousins, and you're running into all of our other tackles up there. Cordero Stout, all those guys are putting great push in the middle. So it's all a team effort. And I will give our defensive coaches credit. They're doing a great job of putting our players in good position. But just like Corey said here, they're watching the film, they're taking that coaching, and they're putting that on the field on Saturdays and on Thursday nights. And when they do that, everything starts to fall together. And, as long as we can continue to improve each week, and, and I've said this all along, it's not how well you're playing in August and September. It's how well you're playing in October and November. And hopefully we're starting to reach that peak right now.
Coach, this football team got here nearly 3 months ago, and it's been nonstop ever since. And this is not quite an open date, but at least a day or two to exhale for these guys before a very big one this coming Saturday.
Well, it is. We've gone 9 straight weeks now, and if we do happen to get into the playoffs, we're not going to have a week off. So I felt like this was a time that we could sit back and catch our breath a little bit. So this Thursday night game came at a very good time. We're going to take Friday off, we're going to take Saturday off, and we're going to come back and go to work on Florida Tech on Sunday and get ready to make what ends up being our longest trip of the year. So we're very fortunate that we're going to have this slight break before we take this long trip to play a very good Florida Tech team. But it's well-deserved. Our kids have worked very hard. They put in a lot of time, and they need a chance to go watch their high school play and get away for a little bit. So we're going to do that and hopefully recharge our battery and come back Sunday ready to go.
A very good team waiting on us in Melbourne next week.
Yes, they are, and they've had our number the last 2 years. So it's time for us to switch that back around, and hopefully we can go down and play in a hostile environment on the road and play very well against a good football team.
Coach, best of success, and we'll be talking to you about the Florida Tech game as it gets closer.
Sounds good. Thank you.
West Georgia Wolves head football coach David Dean. Tonight, the Wolves victorious 42-6 over the Shorter Hawks as the Wolves push the record now to 7-2 on the season. With tonight's victory, West Georgia, with over 400 yards offense, Shorter had to break that big run at the end of the game to get over the 200-yard mark for the game tonight, but the column that counts 42-6 Wolves. I want to thank Coach Dean, Corey Rogers for being on the program this evening, J.J. Jones for being on the program this evening, and of course, SMI, Systems and Methods Incorporated, our benefactor here for the David Dean post-game report. And I'm Mitch Gray saying, go Wolves.